Hi there, Dr. Rob here, your biosafety advisor. Today, we're going to learn what you can do to prevent yourself from getting exposed and infected from biohazards. There are actually several things you can do to help prevent infection. The first thing is to be aware of the biohazards you might be exposed to that could infect you, such as COVID. Second, put barriers between you and those biohazards to help reduce your exposure to the pathogens, such as wearing a face mask. Third, don't touch your face and wash your hands often, particularly after touching any biohazards, such as handling raw meat in the kitchen, picking up after your pet, or helping someone who is sick. Finally, disinfect surfaces with an effective chemical such as bleach, but especially after the surfaces have been in contact with a biohazard. For example, disinfecting the cutting board in your kitchen, the bathrooms, or your phone after lending it to someone. The first step in prevention is situational awareness. This means to be aware of all the biohazards that are in your environment and how you're interacting with them. Sometimes this awareness is obvious, as you can see the objects that you're interacting with, like picking up dog poop. But other times this is less obvious, like an invisible virus in the air that you're about to breathe in, like influenza virus or COVID. So, to be more biosafe, try to be more situationally aware of all the pathogens that might be in your environment. Once you're more aware, then you can make a better decision whether to interact with those biohazards or not. A good example of this was during the COVID pandemic. People were told to social distance in order to get further away from the coronavirus that was being shed by other people. The COVID pandemic certainly made us more situationally aware that other people are biohazards. However, there are many other sources of biohazards in our environment besides just people. You want to start to recognize the things that could potentially contaminate you, like the soil in your garden, the animals you touch, the air you breathe in, or even the food that you eat. When you do recognize a biohazard and choose to interact with it, like talking to a sick person, what can you do? Your best form of defense is to put barriers between you and that biohazard to block it from infecting you. A good example were the face masks that people were asked to wear during the COVID pandemic. This was a barrier that helped protect people from person-to-person transmission of the virus. Based upon your own risk assessment, decide which routes of transmission you're going to block: eyes, nose, mouth, ingestion, skin openings, and what type of barrier you're going to use. For example, wearing an N95 mask blocks both the nose and mouth routes of infection and helps to prevent aerosol transmission. Barriers serve two main purposes. First, the barrier will stop or reduce the amount of biohazard trying to enter your body. Ideally, you want to prevent all of the biohazard from contaminating or entering your body, but even a small reduction in the amount can be helpful in preventing an infection from starting. Second, barriers are an effective method of disposing of the contamination. Say you get blood on your gloves. You can now safely remove your gloves and dispose of the biohazard. That's why a lot of personal protective equipment is single-use and disposable. In addition to being situationally aware and using barriers, make sure to not touch your face and wash your hands frequently, because it's our hands that often touch biohazards and become contaminated. So to recap, be aware of what biohazards exist in your environment, decide whether or not it's worth interacting with that hazard. If you choose to interact with the hazard, put barriers between you and the hazard to help prevent you from getting infected. Don't touch your face, wash your hands often, and disinfect surfaces. Thanks for watching, and remember, be safe, be biosafe.